The Match Ball.
Oh dear. Welcome to the show. Dan, Michael and Moscow with you on the Match Ball. Sunderland 1, Leeds United 0. Show is brought to you by Levi Solicitors, who will offer you a 10% discount on your legal fees. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Do an enthusiastic sell for their services, please, Michael, and we'll get right into the post-mortem.
Not tonight.
You're not fancying it?
No, not really.
Even though they've paid us to...
Yeah, I was going to say, even though I don't want to, they do a really good job of legal stuff.
Yep.
So I use them for stuff like that.
Yeah, levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Speaking of law, want to say all the best to Mike Law, who is a Leeds fan exiled up there, surrounded by Sunderland fans. All the best, Mike. Right, so what do we think of that then? 1-0 to Sunderland, a below par night. It just felt like nothing was really working tonight, wasn't it? Like the passing wasn't incisive enough. Didn't manage to get the attack involved in this. We weren't linking up well. It was all a bit nah.
Just a lot of side-to-side passing is what it felt like, without any particular way through. Yeah. And we deserved to lose. Is that fair to say?
We deserved to lose.
We didn't have any good. We didn't create any good chances, though, did we?
They scored off of a header bouncing back into the penalty area.
Yeah, there was that. But
and also, it's Jude Bellingham's brother, which is unfair at this level.
Are you saying they should sell him and retire the shirt?
Yes, it would help, or at least wait until Archie Gray's a bit older, and then it's more of a level playing field. The two sort of future Ballon d'Or winners or relatives of winners. That's something we can look forward to. When Archie Gray has a Ballon d'Or, but Bellingham Jr. is just looking at his brothers, then the tides will turn and Jack Clark will just be sitting in the corner crying into a kind of Red Bull or something like that.
Do you agree with Addis's assertion that Sunderland sat back with proper structure, very compact and quite impressive, to be fair?
Do we have to be fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you want to just deliver a devastating hot take that can go viral around the internet, and we get people shouting at us that we don't listen to, or we could just be fair and analyse it as you saw it.
Yeah, I thought they did well.
Yep.
They seemed to they limited us to going side to side. I thought when the game started, the opening 10, I thought we looked just better than them. It felt like we had long spells of possession. Anytime they got the ball, we got it back off them pretty quickly. It didn't feel like they were going to do a great deal with it, and then they started about 15-20 minutes in, they just started working the ball out to Clark. Gray got booked, and it felt like from that point on, momentum changed a bit. And I'm guessing we probably had more possession throughout the game, but it was in non-dangerous areas, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. I didn't have that great feeling coming into this game, so I had a feeling we were due one because we built up that head of steam, and it was a difficult tie, I was going to say tie. It's not a cup tie, but it's a difficult match coming off the back of a weekend game. And we've not fared that brilliantly at times, playing midweek off the back of a weekend game.
I mean, you say that at about 70 minutes, you said we're going to win this 1-0.
And then they scored.
Yeah, well done.
I mean, that was hope rather than expectation, to be honest.
Phil messaged you?
I didn't bother. It's over that.
What a devastating night for you.
Not bothered. What would you have said? Difficult night this. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for your analysis.
I do tune in later in the week to hear
your hearing analysis. Phil will be back to debrief the game.
You beg for weeks for a crumb of communication from him. When he finally lowers himself to patronise you with a measly message, you throw it back in his face like this.
It's over now, though, isn't it? Like if you fancied a girl at school and if you finally kissed her, and that's it, it's not bothered anymore.
Is that right?
It's the thrill of the chase, isn't it?
Have you kissed Phil?
Not on the mouth.
We don't need to get into it, do we?
Not on the mouth.
We did have more possession than them. We had more shots. We had more shots on target.
But XG wasn't good though, was it?
They had more big chances, 2 and none. Which although I thought, well, yeah, Peru at the end, that shot he did a lot with that. He did more than I expected him to do with it from that position. That he managed to get it through that crowd of players to be cleared off the line was probably the best we did at getting through what was a crowd of players at most times in front of their goal that we were not getting through. So fair play to Joel.
What do you think of what Robert's saying here? Thought the tactics and subs were all wrong by Farke tonight. We're live on YouTube, by the way, for our TSB Plus members, the brave hardy souls who've joined us. Hello.
I mean, the tactics are kind of what they always are.
I was going to say they're no different, were they? It's what we do.
It's just that normally we find more space than that.
And it works, or it doesn't,
And it feels like, certainly in recent weeks, Somerville and James have just been getting in behind people. And tonight, I don't think there was any ever a point they did. It felt like Somerville would occasionally beat 2 or 3 players, but there was just always a big crowd. And by the time he'd got onto the third player, the first player had got back to him as well, and it was just he ended up having to knock it back.
If the reference was to the substitutions, there were probably, I don't know what would have been a different option, because it did end up with us just leaving Roden back and everybody else forward, and in that situation having just, we ended up with Matteo Joseph, Pat Bamford, Joe Peru, all playing. So that's 3 centre forwards, which when you're chasing a goal in the last 10 minutes, I don't know about Gnonto, and it was Gnonto and Anthony came on first, didn't they, for Spence, and James first? Can't remember. And I don't know, whenever Anthony comes on, we seem to just give the ball to Gnonto, seemed to be the thing. Like, ignore him. And there were occasional opportunities where they thought about going over that side, and it's like, we'll just give it back to Gnonto again. And I guess it's like, I suppose, one of them's played for Italy, one of them's played for Bournemouth. So maybe that's the thing, just give it to him and hope he comes up with something. Which, to be fair...
He did start doing stuff, didn't he? He did some bits. He got in behind.
Yeah, it took until we'd gone a goal down and we brought on Joseph and Bamford and were properly chasing it for Gnonto and Anthony to have much impact at all.
Emma Hagg's saying here as well, and we had 6 attackers on in the last 10 minutes, and not a single one of them made any movements for passing options, all stood on the back line expecting Strauch and Rodon to become prime Pirlo. It's difficult, isn't it, when you're trying to get through such a compact defence on the edge of the area? I mean, that's exactly what they sought to do, wasn't it? Was to frustrate us and deny us the lack of those little interchanges of passes, that we do. Just to deny us the space to do that. Kept forcing us out wide, didn't they? And it didn't really pay off because we kept getting forced back the other way.
Well, it just kept forcing us back in the end, because the game just did turn into 10 minutes of, because Sunderland at 1-0 with however many minutes there were to go, once we'd made those changes, the rest of the game was kind of, that's why I don't mind what Farke did, because he kind of set the game out as like, right, we're going to spend the rest of this match trying to score, and Sunderland are just like, right, we're going to spend the rest of this match trying not to concede, and they did a better job of that than us, but it was still, I don't know, and it created the situation where there wasn't much room, there wasn't space for anybody to run into, or space for anybody to like create a gap for a through ball or anything like that. It was just try and go around them or through them as much as possibly could. I should have tried to score before they did. That would be, if I could talk to Daniel, not myself, I'll do plenty of that.
Or me.
You're Dan, you're not Daniel.
Well, I mean, I am. My birth certificate definitely says that.
All right. If the Daniels were to convene and discuss this, I think scoring before they did.
It can't wait till the annual. It can't wait till the annual conference, can it? We've got to get on top of it sooner than that.
Who's the guest of honour this year?
Daniel
Day-Lewis.
Bloody is as well, isn't it? I noted down at the start of the second half, it felt like Farke had sent them out with instructions to be a little bit braver in possession. I think it looked like we were trying to do those passes through the lines a little bit more, to maybe break the lines a little bit quicker. Because I was surprised, actually, because I think they had the better of the end of the first half, because they penned us back into Michael, a raised eyebrow. They penned us back into our half a bit, and I was like, oh, I don't quite like where this is going. But second half, it reverted back to the start of the first half again. Didn't you? You're still thinking about that, aren't you? Because you're grinning, I can see.
It's a daft joke. We just never got through. At no point did I think we were going to get through them tonight. No. I have to say, it just felt like in some ways, the more we attacked, the more likely they were to score, because they did have quite a few dangerous breaks. They didn't always result in outright chances, but there were bits where like the ball would be crossed in. You think, if that's a better cross there was someone over, and if it breaks to someone else on the edge of the box, they get a chance for a shot, and it didn't quite pan out for him. And the goal itself was a bit lucky, because I'm pretty sure he just was heading it in a general direction, was their player, because Strauch headed it straight at him, didn't he, essentially, and he just deflected it back into the box. So it shouldn't count, but I mean, he did score. And Gray if Gray pushes up a bit faster on that, then he's offside, you could argue, but I mean, it all happened dead quick, didn't it?
Yeah, Gray was a bit of the change from the second half, because he obviously struggled with Jack Clark in the first half and got his yellow card and kept getting beaten by him, and then it looked start the second half, like the instruction was, like instead of waiting for him to come and beat you up our end, just go and attack. Like he can't, you're not going to get booked if you're trying to go past him. So he was doing a lot more. It felt like the change in the second half was we moved everybody forward, took some of the pressure off and made it more of left ourselves more at risk of being counter-attacked upon. So and that was probably the moment when we needed to be scoring a goal at that time. But what chances did we have? We had Somerville, when he broke from Glenn Kamara, headed him through from a corner, and Jack Clark was not strong enough to pull him down, or Somerville was just too damn honest to go down, and he ran through and tried to have a scorer to goal. And what was the other one? There was quite a lot of balls where we were, because we couldn't get around the outside of them, what with them having like 3 turning into 5 at the back, we would just like trying to pass to Rutter on the penalty spot and then going like, see if you can turn or lay off or something. So everywhere we went, and it's probably, obviously everybody will be tearing their hair out about, this is going to turn into relegation to League One now, and we'll have to close the club down in May. But Sunderland just defended dead well.
Yeah. I mean, as Donna said, I'm oddly calm about this. I'm fine with it. It's like we are going to lose games. What's making this bad, and the reaction probably bad, is going to be what's happening above us, and there's nothing we can do to control that.
Yeah, it's all a bit strange because there's the start of the season and the way that the season began, probably after the Birmingham game and then the Sheffield Wednesday result, whichever way around those two came. Most people were like, well, let's get the playoffs. Playoffs will be fine after the summer we had. But I think the problem, it's almost...
The problem is everyone's remembered what the playoffs are.
Well, no, I think the problem is more that it's weirdly how if Leicester and Ipswich were having a more normal time, they would probably still be ahead of us, just only by a few points. But somehow, because they've just gone so freakishly winning everything so far this season, that's almost become a bigger deal that they are so far ahead of us and feel so difficult to get. It's like, well, we can't afford to drop a point. Whereas if they were only... if Leicester were 1 point ahead of us and we lost tonight, we'd be like, oh, well, we'll make it up later. So it's kind of the whole psychology of the season has gone absolutely weird based on Leicester and Ipswich just winning an incalculable number of games, which even it can't continue. So maybe it can continue, but if like one of our...
I mean, if it does, fair play.
Well, exactly. And what has to happen is it has to not continue for us to be able to overtake them. So there's kind of, whether we beat Sunderland in December, it's not the end of the season.
No, yeah, and we need to just beat Coventry, and then this is quickly forgotten because that's the way it goes this season. Like the Stoke game, everyone was gutted about it. We didn't play well, nothing really worked, but then we won a few games afterwards, and everyone went, "All right, fine, that doesn't almost matter anymore." And like the midweek games, we have generally not done brilliantly in them. Like there was the Hull game, the Stoke game. West Brom was early in the season, I know, but that was midweek, wasn't it?
Should we be boycotting midweek matches and evening kickoffs?
Well, if
only playing daylight.
I mean, last year we did avoid midweek games for the most part. It was the Saturdays, Sundays that were the main issue then. So.
And with regards to Stoke, that I think is potentially the answer to the question that Ben is posing here, which is Ben observes that Ampadu was poor today, so was Rutter, Cree, and James all surprisingly looked tired. Why didn't we rotate the starting team? I think it's because of what happened at Stoke. He's not going to change a winning team, and when he did it before, when he did the rotation versus Stoke, it didn't work. And you're talking about a weaker opponent there in Stoke versus a better opponent in Sunderland potentially. What do you think?
Yeah,
it's easy to say with hindsight, isn't it? Because if we'd have nicked one tonight or whatever, then it paid off, didn't it? I think been such are the margins in football.
I think because Rutter didn't particularly work tonight, he's been sort of pulling teams out of shape a lot this season, and without him being able to do that, I feel like maybe in the midfield, if you've got a proper number 10 option there, they maybe make a difference in a game like this. Because Ampadu and Kamara are very good at doing what they do, but it feels like neither of them are probably ever going to score, and they're not really meant. I know Ampadu did that massive ball over the top the other week, but they're not really meant for the through ball, are they? There's not much of a threaded pass in them. So
Glenn had a shot.
Yeah. Did he?
Yeah, he had a shot.
Was it anywhere near?
It was on target.
Oh,
Keeper
no, he
saved it.
did. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. I think that's maybe why I wrote a note saying it doesn't look like they're ever going to score.
Yeah, there wasn't
it just
a
reminds
massive
me
order.
of a bit of Forshaw when he used to shoot and you go, but it's not going in, is it? So.
There's an element to this team as well where it's not really. You can sort of feel results like this will happen because we're not really finished, and that's part of the story of the summer, because we were bidding for that maniac who we abandoned in the Dales, who was going to play at number 10. So there was a desire there for an attacking midfielder in front of Kamara and Ampadu that hasn't arisen. So we're doing what we're doing. And Jed Spence is supposed to be and has been supposed to be our right back since the day he signed, and we've not had a whisper of him in his proper position. And then he popped up tonight on the wrong side, and at times, and then
Andrew's just asking actually on that Moscow. How do we think he got on at left back?
he got all right. At times, he looked a bit like an extra piece, like he'd come from the wrong jigsaw. Because I think it's just because I'm very used to Sam Byram's kind of just diligent excellence, and it's something that struck me at Blackburn was what a good line the back four kind of was. And tonight there was an element of, there was like three, and then Jed Spence is kind of like, it's the first time he started a game for us, so he just seemed at times to be just in a different realm or on a different wavelength, which comes from practice and comes from playing in your right position and comes from being used to having the players alongside you who are alongside you and not just making you. It's his debut effectively out of position, and that's kind of the thing of us being a bit unfinished, is there are those things have just never got going yet. So if Jed Spence had played 15 games by now, he'd probably be absolutely brilliant. But he is where he is, we are where we are, and it'll probably, I don't know if it'll end up costing us automatic promotion, but it's kind of what we were all pricing into the situation at the end of the transfer window, where we're like, all right, well, this is going to take some time to come together and gel, but in Leicester and those tractor driving geniuses at Portman Road are upsetting everything.
Tractor driving geniuses.
I think in another time as well, we have Byram at left back, Spence at right back, and then it frees up Archie Gray. So if things aren't working in midfield, he's an option there as well. Whereas I don't feel like Gruev is a man who would come on in the middle and change anything. He's very much been used as a steadying player, hasn't he? He just comes on to get booked in the last and kick people for like the last 30 seconds of a game. Seems to be his function. So there was a bit of a lack. For all the attacking players on the bench, there was not a lot behind that today. It was just all strikers and wingers, wasn't it?
Yeah, as Simon said, those subs were my video game tactic. Just put all the attackers on and slide the attack meter to the right.
I can see the logic to it.
Given what happened at Norwich, yeah,
it causes a lot of panic when people are just like, I don't even know who's playing where. They seem to have like 4 wingers and 2 strikers on the pitch.
And that's what
what happens.
It's what created that chance for Perot, isn't it? Just kind of getting as many people getting into the penalty area as possible. But then there were the kind of bits where some of the free kicks could have been better, and trying to get the ball forward faster. It didn't help when Rodon put it out for throw in and all that kind of stuff. But these things, I guess those were the signs that it wasn't going to be our night. And Sunderland, they're a bit weird because of the whole sacking Tony Mowbray thing, but they were never a bad team this season, and they were in the playoff semi-finals last year. And Jack Clark looks he looked good in the first half. I think attacking him more in the second half upset him slightly, but they've got some decent players, even if 09, I have a problem with a player being called 09 because he just sounds like a telephone exchange.
Yeah, I thought Clark looked a lot like the early years Jack Clark at Leeds tonight, didn't he, at the start?
He's got a new trick though, because all he used to do was like drop one shoulder and go inside at Leeds.
I still can't really tell what he does though. He just does like this. It's just a sort of constant swaying and changing of direction and stuff, but it makes him very hard to play against.
Slows down a bit and then goes fast, and then slows down and goes fast, and it's as you're trying to go with him. But yeah, he wasn't because he used to just kind of with the shoulder drop and then inside, but now he seems to he's learnt he can go the other side as well. Fucking hell! So it's no wonder he'll be back to. I wonder if Tottenham will buy him again.
They're probably stupid enough to.
Daniel Levy just
20 million this time. Yeah,
I had him before. And can I have him again? Can I get him for you again? Go on, let me. Yeah, but no, it was useful, and I think that's one thing to sort of factor in is Sunderland's performance, and the fact that I think when Leeds fans analyse performances like this that don't go great, it's often without factoring in the performance of the opposition, and they were well organised, as we said, they were well organised, and just you can't win every game. Even Leicester and Ipswich, as good a form as they are in runs they are on, are still not going to win every game.
It feels a bit like it's flipped from last year when loads of teams you played where you went, well, what can you really do? We're going to lose. Of course we are. Whereas now you're going to go, well, of course we should win. This is ridiculous that we've not.
Yeah, and we've got we had it within our gift to win tonight, but we were subpar. They were well organised. They played well.
No, we could still have got a point.
I had a feeling, I didn't sort of externalise this, but I had a feeling it was heading towards a 0-0, actually, my genuine response, which is when I then declared that we were going to win 1-0.
You idiot.
Foolishly. It makes no difference, Michael.
No, it doesn't. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, they did have chances, didn't they? Melia made a couple of good saves.
A couple of good saves. Got the save of the fucking century.
No, that was the one against Leicester. That was better. But
that's two saves of 2 centuries.
Was
He's dominating 200 years.
Was it Don Goodman on Co-Coms or someone?
Sounded like Hinchcliffe.
Hinchcliffe, of course it was. That's why it was not, because Hinchcliffe wasn't even impressed with that save, was it? It was like, well, that's a really good save. He took a step. It was a full stretch, and he was a bit like, yeah, so that's all right, I suppose.
He's finding absolutely every reason to kind of get, I think it's had a deflection. It's probably come off the defence. It's not as powerful as it could be. Every reason, but then you can't fault the footwork, the stretch, the anticipation, the execution, the hand to get it away. It's almost as good as, in fact, he's made 3 saves now across 3 centuries. So we're back to the Renaissance. And because the other one tonight, the one from Roden, brilliant reflexes to stop that header on our goal line that Roden tried to put in.
Oh, that one. I forgot about that, yeah.
And cleared away. I want to chalk that down as another bit of Melier brilliance.
I wasn't sure if Roden helped there.
Well, he tried to help Sunderland.
It was hard to work out exactly what had gone on. I thought the ball was gone in the net, to be perfectly honest. But then it
was going in the net because Roden headed it there from the replay. There was one replay from behind the goal that, if I'm remembering correctly, showed a pretty clear attempt on target that found Melier's midriff from the distance for about 6 inches. And then Strauch appeared from nowhere and sorted it all out. So we were having an interesting evening in lots of respects. And I suppose, so Sunderland, I would say that on the balance of performances, a draw would have been all right tonight. But then, you count. Sunderland had, that one, Rodon kind of was doing it for them. And then the save that Melier saved and the goal, which Farke has said after the game, where he's like, even Alex Pritchard, who headed it, back into the box, he said he can't explain how he does that.
Good.
So it's just been totally random, is basically what he's saying, that goal.
Speaking of Farke, his comments have now come in the post-match. He's saying, in general, I'm struggling to criticise too much. It was clear that we had a difficult away game. I thought we dominated parts of it, but we didn't find the cutting edge. We were not tidy or sharp enough. Credit to Sunderland. One of those pieces where you didn't find a moment of sharpness to create a big chance. It was difficult today because they were sitting so deep. Talking about Somerville's moment when he went through as well, shirt pulled back by Clark. Likes the attitude of the fact that he stayed on his feet, but if he goes down, it would be a red. Do you agree?
I think he's too far from goal for it to be a red.
Yeah. The other defender potentially.
The ref should have booked him for it, though, definitely. I can see why
he played the advantage, didn't he?
But you still go back and book people.
Can you do that?
Played advantage. Yeah, refs do it all the time, don't they?
But that'd be for foul play, wouldn't it? Whereas
he tugged him. He took his shirt.
I mean, like a kicky foul play, no? Violent foul.
So you know your rule book.
The old violent foul play. No, I felt in my head.
Book you for kicky.
I feel like I understand in my head why he didn't, but it should have been, shouldn't it? Yeah.
Because he's corrupt.
Yeah, people have been alleging that in the comments on YouTube, which I haven't put on screen because I thought it was probably libelous. But
Moscow said it anyway.
Moscow said
refs
it anyway.
used to it.
Yeah, exactly. No ref takes that seriously.
I'll just finish the comments off. Struggling to criticise his lads for the goal. When you're trying to create and then running back to defend a chance, we do that. And even Alex Pritchard can't explain how he does that, heads it back into the box. Farke doesn't think he made changes too late. I have to give the players credit for the last few weeks. It's no time to accuse. I feel more like they need an arm around them and support. Yeah, I struggle to see it much differently than that. It's sometimes happens, doesn't it? You're just going to lose games.
Yep. There's no point completely tearing it up, is there?
No. It's fine. In another season, we're ahead of where Burnley were. We're ahead of where Burnley were last season on the points total.
Let's just be calm about this, as much as I'm sad.
yeah, it's fine to feel sad. Lean into it. Listen to emo music if you want, but it's not the end of the world.
No,
we'll be okay, and we're doing fine. And playoffs, isn't it?
Well, it's not settled yet, is it? There's a long. I mean, that's the other thing. It's a long old season, and January happens as well. And if we came out in January, it's quite reassuring that Farke has been heeding his own feelings about what we need at fullback, because Archie Gray is a midfielder playing right back. Jed Spence is a right back playing left back. We don't have cover, so there's improvements that could be made to the squad immediately there. We probably don't need any more attackers, although I would be entertained if we bought some. Let's go out and get a few more goals scored, get a few more wingers.
Get Amiri back and Ryan Kent.
Yeah.
Jack Clark.
We had Joffrey on the bench and didn't even bring him on against his friends from last season. And then there's the whole, Ipswich have the idea, top of the league, Ipswich, incidentally, have the whole thing of whether their manager could be plucked to the Premier League. And then Leicester, are they going to suffer from players going away to the African Cup of Nations in January? So there's a lot of things still to happen between the rest of the season, and just the idea that Leicester or Ipswich might just implode.
I mean, we've been in this league enough time to know the way it goes. I mean, the first season up under Grayson, didn't we go second at one point in that? Finished outside the playoffs.
About this time of year, yeah.
There was the season under Monk where we were about 7 games from the end. It looked like we were definitely in the playoffs. We managed to drop out. There was the first season under Bielsa where it looked like we were going up at several points. Managed to screw that up. The season we did go up where we were miles ahead, then got reined in, then went miles ahead again. There were loads and loads of things that go on. Lots of games. There were 3 games a week. Sometimes you can end up playing, Saturday, Tuesday, Friday, and before you know it, everything's changed.
Yeah.
So,
I was hoping for some reassurance from the league table from this time last year on the 12th of December 2022, but it was Burnley and Sheffield United were top. But the 4 behind them were Blackburn, Norwich, Watford and Preston, none of whom I think got in the playoffs in the end, did they? Were any of them in the playoffs?
It was Sunderland, Luton,
Coventry, and
someone else.
Yeah, so that's Millwall was 7th, and those teams. So Sunderland were 11th, Coventry were 15th. Where were Luton? Luton don't, but 13th.
So we could still go up automatically, or potentially finish 15th.
We could probably go down at this point. I know Farke was laughing that off the other week, but don't discount it. Huddersfield were bottom and stayed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
so maybe we follow their template and we get Neil Warnock in. We've been wondering where we'll end the season. Maybe it'll be Elland Road
to keep us up.
Just maybe one last challenge, get us promoted. He wants it because he was saying he didn't want to go for another boring job, and he just a bit bored of trying to keep teams up. We wanted to try and succeed at the end of the season. So maybe comes in February. After a disastrous January transfer window that has Daniel Farke throwing coffee and cake everywhere and marching out.
I mean, he can come back in February, but I might not. if that's the case.
What I will say,
just call it a day.
Just to return things to reality. First of all, Trichodemus is pointing out that it's 24 cans of bar cream soda for $5.99 at Lidl at the minute.
That's decent. I do like a cream soda.
I
tend to buy the supermarket own brand stuff. I ain't got the money for bar generally, but $5.99 is not bad.
You'd accept that. The other thought is this, that, do you know what? I can just put tonight behind me, and I'm looking forward to going to Elland Road at the weekend already. See if we can turn this one back around and get back on top of our game. No need to panic.
I'm looking forward to the game starting and then ending.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what I want.
All right. Listen, we will wrap it up there then. We'll get some view from the press box action from Phil towards the back end of the week. We've got the weekly show to come, haven't we? I'm losing track of the days now. It's midweek, isn't it? Tuesday, isn't it still?
Mm-hmm.
Bloody hell. Right. Let's not get stressed about it. Middlesbrough playoffs, by the way, it's just been pointed out.
Ah, of course.
Oh, okay. And so where were they at the time? I've changed. I started going through the years.
They had a little late surge, didn't they, I think?
Oh.
I'm going to say so anyway.
Suits you.
Before we go as well.
Yeah, there was 12.
Calendars are back in stock. The very final fine. And we've printed them several times because people keep buying them. Yeah. This is definitely the final lot.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's the 2024 charity calendar. All the money going to the Leeds Cancer Centre. It's available at thesquareball.net. Have Christmas jumpers come back in? Are they coming back in?
They've coming and in some cases gone out because we've got a new
Right.
batch arriving at the end of this week, but they are on pre-orders and some sizes have already sold out.
Bloody hell.
But they are a
Fire.
bit small, so if you're a bit upset at your sizes, you know, after Christmas as well, you're going to need a bit of extra room.
Size up. All right. We will wrap it up there. Thanks for joining us tonight or listening to this one afterwards. All the stuff you need at thesquareball.net. We go again, boys and girls. We go again.
The Match Ball.